What if the moment that was supposed to celebrate a star's legacy turned into a battle that exposed the very soul of celebrity culture? What if the woman who built an empire from the ground up was challenged, no, ambushed on live television? In front of millions tonight, you're not just watching a talk show. You're watching a showdown between elegance and ego, between years of resilience and a single moment of sabotage. This isn't just drama. This is truth, cloaked in glitter. So before we begin, hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and share this story, because what you're about to witness will leave you breathless. It began like any other day on set. Bright lights, crisp air conditioning, that caffeinated buzz that hums backstage at every major studio. The View had its usual energy viewers tuning in with their morning coffee, ready for another round of spirited debate and celebrity charm. And then Jennifer Lopez walked in. She was radiant, of course, calm, confident, smiling. She wore that subtle armor. Every veteran star keeps polish on the outside, a quiet readiness underneath. She thought this would be the usual promo gig. Plug the new film, talk about the tour, toss in a few heartfelt moments. Nothing unusual, but sitting across from her was Joy Behar. And Joy wasn't smiling. She wasn't even pretending. Shuffled through her note cards, disinterested. The other co-hosts, Sunny Hostin, Sarah N., Anna Navarro, looked tense, even before the cameras rolled, like they felt the temperature drop but didn't know why. And then it started. So, Jennifer. Joy's voice cut through the buzz like a scalpel. Cold, sharp. Another romantic comedy. Playing the same woman again. You think it's time to try something new, or are you just recycling the same role until the box office stops calling? Oh. Silence fell across the studio, not the kind of silence you get when someone forgets their lines. This was heavier, denser, the kind that makes people freeze, not just physically, but spiritually. A ripple passed through the production crew. Even the seasoned camera operator briefly hesitated before refocusing. Jennifer's smile faltered. Just for a second, but she caught herself. She's done this before. She's faced critics, tabloids, producers who didn't believe in her. She wasn't about to crack on live TV. Well, Joy, she began, carefully. I think audiences connect with love stories because they're timeless. I try to bring something fresh to every role, even if the themes are familiar. But Joy wasn't done. She leaned back, arms folded, lips pursed. Fresh perspectives, really. She laughed. No warmth, only dismissal. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're cashing the same check over and over again. Successful woman finds love in a coffee shop, or an airport, or a bookstore sound familiar. Jennifer shifted slightly in her chair. Not out of discomfort, out of calculation. This wasn't going to be a press tour puff piece. This was war. More glances between the co-hosts. Sunny Hostin raised an eyebrow, ready to jump in. Sarah looked like she wanted to disappear. Anna just folded, her arms tightly, watching. I think that's a reductive way to look at my work, Jennifer replied, voice still steady. I've produced most of those films. I've fought for diverse stories, diverse voices. That's the part that matters to me. Creative control, Joy repeated, curling her fingers into sarcastic air quotes. Is that what we're calling it now? Or is it just code for, this makes money, so I'll keep doing it? Jennifer's eyes darkened, not angry, focused. I've worked in this industry for over 20 years. Joy, I've survived every trend, every era, every rebrand. That doesn't happen by accident. Joy smirked. Oh, I'm sure. But here's what I'm wondering. When's the last time you took a risk? Not just in film, but in life. Off camera. When was the last time you were real? Now the air was electric. Charged. You're asking if I'm real? Jennifer said, her tone sharpening. Because I work to maintain a professional image. Because I don't come on shows like this crying into my coffee. No, because your image feels curated, Joy snapped. We see the marriages, the makeups, the red carpets. But when the cameras stop rolling, who is Jennifer Lopez? It wasn't a question. It was a challenge. Jennifer didn't flinch. But her eyes, famous, expressive eyes narrowed. You don't get to define me, Joy. You don't get to distill 2 decades of work into tabloid headlines and sound bites. Joy pounced. Oh, so now we're pretending you don't call the paparazzi. That your relationships aren't press release ready before the ink dries on the breakup. Gasps. Actual gasps, and not just from the audience. The control room, the lighting team, even the hair and makeup crew backstage watching. The monitors, everyone heard it. Everyone felt it. Jennifer leaned forward now. "No more playing defense. You're crossing a line," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "I came here to talk about my career, not to be attacked for living my life in public." Joy's eyes lit up. She had what she wanted, a reaction. "Come on," Joy said. "You want the attention when it helps you, but now you're offended when someone asks the hard questions." Jennifer stood up. The chair scraped back loud, piercing. "This isn't journalism," she said. "This is personal. You're not interviewing me. You're interrogating me, and frankly, it's beneath you." The other hosts moved in now, trying to restore order, but Joy waved them off. "No, let her speak," Joy said. "She clearly has a lot of feelings about being asked basic questions." Jennifer turned, eyes locked on Joy like a storm behind glass. "Basic?" she said. "You think questioning my integrity, mocking my career, dragging my personal life onto this stage is basic?" Joy raised her hands like a magician at the end of a trick. "I think you're used to applause, Jennifer, not honesty. And I think," Jennifer shot back, "you're used to tearing people down so you don't have to look at your own reflection." The air had gone still. There was a hum in the studio, not from the lights or the cameras, but from something deeper, something human, that fragile tension that exists when someone is standing at the edge of their composure. And the only thing holding them back is decency. Jennifer Lopez had just stood up, and Joy Behar, smiled. Not a kind smile, not even a victorious one. It was the smile of someone who believed they'd won simply by making their opponent flinch. But what Joy didn't realize, what she couldn't possibly understand in that moment, was that Jennifer hadn't stood up to run. She stood up because she wasn't going to sit down for this. And now, the world was watching. The silence felt endless. Jennifer stared down at Joy, breathing deep, not to calm herself, but to steady her words. "You think because you've been behind a desk longer than I've been in front of a camera, that you get to decide who matters in this business?" Jennifer asked, her voice controlled but firm. "You think that gives you the moral high ground?" Joy leaned forward, raised. "I think I've earned the right to ask hard questions." Jennifer's jaw clenched. There's a difference between hard questions and humiliation. The tension had taken on a shape now, like a storm cloud hanging over the set. The audience silent, the crew frozen. Even the co-hosts had stopped trying to jump in. They knew something had shifted. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was a reckoning. "You didn't bring me here to talk," Jennifer continued. "You brought me here to break me, to reduce me. And why do you think that is?" Joy shot back. "Maybe because you've spent 2 decades selling an image that no one dares to question." Jennifer blinked. Once, twice, then spoke. "Or maybe it's because you see a woman standing in her power, and it makes you uncomfortable." Joy let out that now familiar scoff. "Oh, please spare me the feminist lecture." But Jennifer didn't flinch. She leaned closer now, refusing to back away. "This isn't a lecture, Joy. It's a mirror." The audience stirred now, barely, but noticeably. Joy Behar was visibly irritated, not just by Jennifer's calm, but by the fact that the crowd wasn't on her side anymore. She reached for her water, took a sip, and then muttered, "You know what's exhausting? This performative empowerment. You act like no one's ever criticized you before." Jennifer took a breath and sat back down, slowly graceful, like a queen reclaiming her throne. "You think what you're doing is original," she said, her voice low. "I've been underestimated, dismissed, torn apart by people with much sharper knives than yours." Joy's eyes narrowed. "Then maybe you should have learned to take it better." Jennifer's gaze hardened. "And maybe you should have learned to listen before speaking." Now the co-hosts were visibly shifting in their seats. Anna Navarro leaned forward, clearly debating whether to interrupt. Sunny Hostin was clutching her pen so tightly the cap had snapped off. Sarah N. just looked heartbroken. Jennifer glanced around the table, then back at Joy. "I've done interviews around the world," she said, "with journalists who've covered war zones, who've faced censorship, and never, not once, have I been spoken to with the level of contempt you've shown me here today." Joy raised her eyebrows. Sarcastic contempt. Wow, dramatic. Jennifer's smile was ice. "No, what's dramatic is thinking this is journalism. And that was when it happened. Joy, now visibly rattled, reached for one more dig. "Well, maybe if your work had more depth, I'd have deeper questions." Gasps this time louder. Even the cameraman involuntarily whispered, "Jesus." Jennifer's expression didn't change, but her energy did. She folded her hands, steady, composed. "You want depth?" she asked softly. "Let's talk about depth." Her voice grew more powerful, but never raised. It didn't need to. "I grew up in a neighborhood where dreams don't get to come true. I took every no and turned it into a yes. I didn't wait for someone to hand me a seat at the table. I built my own." She paused. The weight of her words was louder than any shout. "I've opened doors for women who look like me. I've created jobs, platforms, entire opportunities that didn't exist before. And every step of the way, people like you have asked, is it really that impressive?" Joy opened her mouth, but Jennifer kept going. "You want to question my depth? Let's talk about working 10-hour days while raising kids. Let's talk about building businesses in industries designed to lock women out. Let's talk about dancing through blisters, singing through heartbreak, performing through pain." She looked straight into Joy's eyes. "Let's talk about everything you'll never understand, because you've never had to fight like I have." The audience erupted into spontaneous applause, not scripted, not cued, not even encouraged. It just happened. Joy was still frozen in place, her power slipping through her fingers like sand. Applause faded, but the silence left behind was even more powerful. Jennifer leaned back in her chair, then turned toward the other hosts. Calm now, collected. "I came here to talk about a project I was proud of," she said. "Instead, I've spent the last 15 minutes defending my entire existence." Sunny Hostin finally spoke softly. "Jennifer, I'm sorry." Jennifer nodded. "It's not your fault, but this can't become normal. This can't be what we call conversation now." Joy tried to regain control. "Well, I think audiences do want to see past the curtain. I think we're tired of the filtered, airbrushed version of celebrity, and you think tearing someone down is how you lift that curtain?" Jennifer interrupted. "You think cruelty equals clarity." And then Jennifer said the words that would trend around the world within hours. "Joy, being critical doesn't make you brave. Being kind does." Boom, it hit like thunder. No dramatic music, no fiery rebuttal. Just truth delivered with the weight of a woman who had nothing left to prove, and for the first time since this car crash of an interview began, Joy Behar was speechless. The camera lingered, and in that lingering shot, the audience saw something rare on daytime TV. Not a celebrity promoting a film, not a host chasing ratings, but a woman reclaiming her dignity in real time, a woman reminding the world that strength doesn't always come in the form of shouting. Sometimes it's in staying calm when the world wants you to crumble. Joy Behar wasn't used to silence. She thrived on noise-on laughter, gasps, groans, even groans of disapproval. She knew how to ride a wave of discomfort just long enough to make it seem like honesty. But right now, the silence was a mirror. One she didn't want to look into. Jennifer Lopez had taken control of the room. Not with volume, not with rage, but with presence. She sat there like a woman who had been hurt 1,000 times before, but this time she wasn't going to let it happen quietly. Joy cleared her throat, reached for her water again, a nervous tick now. "Well," she began, her voice just slightly thinner, "that's certainly one way to interpret things." Jennifer didn't blink. "No, that's the truth. You don't have to interpret it." Sunny Hostin glanced at Sarah, Anna Navarro, and the tracks were bending. Joy gave a tight smile, the kind that's not a smile at all. "You know what you signed up for? This is the view. We don't do fluff, we ask real questions." Jennifer raised an eyebrow. "Do you always ask real questions, or just the ones that fit your narrative?" Joy blinked, because that stung. Jennifer saw it, and for the first time, "But what you're doing isn't conversation, it's provocation, and it's reckless." Joy's laugh was brittle now. "So what? You want compliments? You want us to roll out the red carpet?" "No," Jennifer said. "I want respect." That hit harder than any insult, because it wasn't angry. It wasn't vengeful. It was honest. It was a woman asking to be treated like a human being. "I don't expect everyone to love what I do," Jennifer said, her voice steady. I don't expect critics to throw me a parade. I don't have to think it. I can feel it. Now Ana Navarro spoke. Finally, maybe we've crossed some lines here, she said carefully, clearly trying to save the sinking ship. Joy rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, what? Now we can't ask tough questions. Are we just going to hand celebrities a script and let them read it? Jennifer turned to her. You know what's tough, Joy? Watching someone disguise cruelty as courage. The crowd silent again. The production crew still glued to the monitors. One assistant producer had their hand on the earpiece, whispering frantically into the control booth. But no one was cutting to commercial, because this wasn't just daytime drama anymore. This was national television history unfolding in real time. And it was all very, very real. Joy leaned in. Her tone dropped, like she was going for intimate, but instead, it came off like a threat. Let me tell you something, Jennifer. I've been doing this longer than you've been famous. And in that time, I've seen a lot of people walk in here thinking they're untouchable. Jennifer stared at her, silent. And you know what happens to people who think they're above criticism? Joy continued, now leaning so far forward. Her mic distorted slightly. Eventually, the public catches on. They stop buying the act. Jennifer inhaled slow, deliberate, then let out a laugh, soft, almost amused. You think this is about me being above criticism? You think I haven't been dragged through the mud more times than I can count? She leaned in now too, her voice low. Her eyes locked onto Joy's. What you don't understand is that I stopped trying to please people like you a long time ago. That landed, it wasn't defiance, it was truth, unpolished, unshaken, and unmoved joy. Leaned back. For the first time, she had no comeback, Jennifer continued. I've been underestimated my whole life, as a dancer, as an actress. Joy said nothing. Jennifer answered anyway. The people I believed in, the communities I came from, the fans who saw themselves in me, not critics, not hosts, not headlines. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You think your words define me. You think this moment defines me. Joy's mouth parted slightly, like she wanted to interrupt, but couldn't find the right line. Jennifer wasn't finished. I've survived studios that told me I wasn't marketable. I've survived press cycles designed to humiliate me. I've survived betrayal, heartbreak, financial risk, and people in rooms just like this one who thought they knew me better than I knew myself. She paused. Let that settle, and through all of that, I kept showing up. I kept working. I kept evolving. So no, Joy. I'm not afraid of your questions. Another beat. I'm just disappointed by how little they've evolved. The audience stirred again. Some clapped quietly, others just nodded deeply, as if they were living through her words, and Joy looked exhausted. She leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. Well, clearly you have it all figured out, she said bitterly. Maybe next time you should host the show, and turned it into a spotlight. But even so, the damage had been done, and Jennifer knew it. She turned toward the other women. Nana, Sunny, Sarand, her voice softened. I didn't come here to fight. I came here to talk about a film I put my heart into. I came here because I respect the reach this show has. And the women who usually sit at this table, Sarah nodded, eyes glassy. Sunny looked like she wanted to speak, but her voice caught. In her throat, Jennifer turned back to Joy one last time. And I stayed in this chair a lot longer than I should have, because I didn't want to give you the satisfaction of seeing me walk away. And then she stood again, but this time not in anger. In liberation, the audience watched, holding their collective breath as she straightened her blouse and picked up her cue cards. Joy opened her mouth. Jennifer raised her hand. Don't one word, but somehow it said everything. The chair was empty now. Jennifer Lopez had stood up for the last time, but somehow her presence still filled the studio. It lingered in the air like a final note in a symphony, ringing louder than any applause ever could. And for once, Joy Behar wasn't talking because there was nothing left to say. Jennifer stood at the edge of the set, her heels clicking slowly across the floor each step, echoing like punctuation in a sentence. The entire world was reading in real time. She turned back, one last time, toward the camera, toward the audience, toward you. And when she spoke, she wasn't talking to Joy anymore. She was talking to every person who's ever been. underestimated, to every woman who's ever been made to feel small, to every soul who's ever been asked to smile. Through the disrespect, some of you are watching this thinking, it's just a talk show, but it's never just anything when you're being disrespected on a stage this big, Jennifer said. Her voice didn't shake. It resonated. I didn't walk out because I'm weak. I walked out because strength means knowing when to leave the room. The audience clapped softly and sure, if they should, but compelled by the rawness of her words. I've spent my whole career being polite, Jennifer continued, being agreeable, being the version of myself that made people comfortable. But not today, because I've learned that you can't be authentic and apologetic at the same time. Now, even Sunny Hostin was visibly moved. Her hand covered her mouth, and Joy, still frozen in place. The spotlight was no longer on Herb, the weight of the spotlight. She felt that now. You invited me here to talk about a project I believed in, Jennifer said, but instead, I was ambushed, and you thought I would. Just laugh it off, smile through it, be the good little guest. She took a slow breath. I'm not that woman anymore. And that was the moment Joy Behar realized, she had lost. Not just the interview, not just the moment, she had lost the trust of her peers. She had lost the room, and she had lost the audience watching at home. Because no matter what side you were on, everyone understood one thing. Jennifer Lopez wasn't the one unraveling. I've made peace with the fact that I'll always be too much for some people, Jennifer continued. Too successful, too confident, too visible. But I'll never apologize for showing up fully. Then her tone shifted gentler now, a final offering to every young girl watching this. To every dreamer who's been told they're not enough. I want you to see this moment and remember, you are allowed to walk away from anything that doesn't serve your worth. The audience began clapping. Louder this time, and this time, it felt right. Joy Behar looked down at her notes, at the questions she never even got to ask, at the smug quips that no longer felt so clever. She looked around at her co-hosts, who all avoided her gaze. This was not the ending she had scripted in her head. This was not the viral moment she had planned. She'd wanted to shake the table, but instead, she'd shattered her own seat at it. Jennifer nodded toward the crew. Want to thank the staff backstage, the women who helped me get ready, the makeup artists, the lighting techs, the camera team. You're the heart of this show, and I see you. Even the cameraman who hadn't flinched in 30 minutes, teared up, because in the middle of all the chaos, Jennifer still found grace. She turned to go, but then, one final moment, one final look at Joy, and with the calm of someone who has nothing left to prove, Jennifer said, next time you invite someone onto your platform, ask yourself if your goal is to uplift or just to undermine. Joy blinked, but the answer was already written on her face. Jennifer walked off set. The doors closed behind her with the softest click, but the sound of it, it roared like thunder. And that's when everything broke. The audience stood, UPA standing ovation. For Jennifer Lopez. For her courage, for her composure, for the fact that she hadn't just survived the interview, she had turned it into a match in self-respect and joy. She remained seated because suddenly the seat that had once symbolized power felt more like a cage. The producers cut to commercial, but it was too late. Clips were already being uploaded. Screenshots already spreading like wildfire. And hashtags? Hashtag #IstonWithJalo. Hashtag Mean Girls of the View. Hashtag Joy Behar. Cancelled hashtag Jennifer Lopez. Walkout by the end of the hour, Jennifer's name was trending in 17 countries. By the end of the day, everyone had an opinion. Some defended Joy, some claimed Jennifer was overreacting. But most had never seen anything like it. An A-list celebrity standing up not for a cause, not for a campaign, but for herself, in real time, on live TV. Without screaming, without name-calling, without stooping to anyone's level, just truth, and a walkout that echoed across every platform on the internet. When the show returned from break, Joy was visibly rattled. Well, she mumbled, that was interesting. But the energy in the room had changed. The hosts didn't speak the same way anymore. The audience didn't laugh the same way anymore. And Joy Behar, she didn't smirk the same way anymore, because in less than 30 minutes, she had been completely outclassed. Final scene off CAM Raj, Jennifer stepped outside the studio, greeted by a small team. Her assistant offered her a water bottle. She took it, smiled, and nodded silently. No press statement, no publicist spin, no PR clean dash-up, just her, raw, real, resilient. A fan nearby, shaking, held up their phone. "Jennifer, can I get a picture?" Jennifer turned, smiled softly, and nodded. Of course, the fan held back tears. "Thank you for standing up for all of us." Jennifer placed a hand on their shoulder. No one should have to ask for respect. She got in her car, closed the door, and disappeared into the morning light. Call to a CTO NIF. You watched this all the way through. Tell me in the comments, was Jennifer right to walk out? Or should she have stayed and tried to make peace? And if you believe in treating people with dignity, no matter how famous or unknown they are, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. Because sometimes, standing up for yourself on the biggest stage, is the most powerful thing you can do. Let me know if you'd like a shorter teaser trailer version or script for the thumbnail and title.